I was with her for 5 years. We met in college. Group project gone wrong turned into late-night talks, coffees, and then love. She wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my best friend, my person. We moved in together 2 years ago and everything felt right. We had a rhythm. Sunday mornings were for pancakes, Wednesday nights for movies. I'd learned her coffee order by heart, and she knew exactly when I needed silence or sarcasm. I wasn't rich or flashy, but I was loyal. I worked hard to make her life easier, picked up extra shifts when she lost her job, supported her when she went back to school. Love to me meant showing up every single day. Lately, though, something felt off. She was quieter. Her phone was always face down. She used to text me just to say she missed me. Now hours would pass. When I asked, she'd say work was insane. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We trusted each other, or at least I thought we did. One evening, she said she was staying late at the office for a client call. I was proud of her hustle. I even picked up her favorite takeout and left it in the fridge with a note. But when I opened Instagram out of boredom, I noticed she had posted a story from a rooftop bar. The caption was just a sunset emoji, but I knew that view. It wasn't near her office. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, trying to convince myself it was old. Maybe she didn't mean to post it now. Maybe it was just nothing. The next morning I asked how work went. She smiled and said she nailed the client pitch. I nodded, didn't mention the story. Didn't want to sound insecure. Didn't want to make something out of nothing. But it ate at me. That smile too practiced. Like she'd been rehearsing. Then it started happening more often. Late nights. Vague excuses. No phone. Once I reached for her phone to check the time, and she snatched it away like I was holding a grenade. She laughed it off, called it a habit. I nodded again. I told myself I was overthinking. That this was just what long-term relationships looked like. Less fire, more quiet. But deep down something didn't sit right. I couldn't put my finger on it, but her energy had shifted. She was here, physically, but somewhere else entirely. I kept hoping it was stress, that maybe I was just being paranoid. Love makes you blind. Or maybe it just makes you stupidly hopeful. Still, I did nothing. I chose to believe her. To believe in us. I'd built 5 years around this woman. A few odd nights weren't going to make me throw it all away. That's what I told myself. I had no idea just how wrong I was. 2 weeks later, I noticed a receipt in the laundry. A dinner for 2 at a place we'd never been. Date and time stamped for the same night. She said she was working late again. I stared at it longer than I should have, heart racing. When she came home, I watched her talk, smile, move around the kitchen, and every word sounded like noise. I didn't ask about it. I just nodded again like a fool. But I kept the receipt. The next few days I paid attention. Subtle things. The way she flinched when I walked behind her while she texted. The sudden change in perfume. A small, silver necklace I'd never seen before. She said it was from a friend. I didn't ask which one. I didn't want to hear the lie. I shared everything with my brother. He told me to stop doubting myself. He said I needed to know. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I went through her phone while she was in the shower. I hated myself for it, but I had to know. What I found made me sick. There were messages with someone named Daniel, buried under a fake contact name. Screenshots, flirty texts, photos from the same bar she tagged herself in that night. One message stood out. Last night was perfect. He has no clue. I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking. I sat there on the edge of the bed, trying to breathe, trying to not scream. She came out of the bathroom humming. I looked at her and felt like I didn't know her anymore. I didn't say a word. Just smiled. She kissed my cheek and walked past like nothing had changed. But everything had. I couldn't sleep that night. Her next to me, peaceful, as if she hadn't burned our life down in secret. I got up around 3 a.m. and sat in my car for an hour. I sat. Cold, empty, lost. I thought about confronting her right then. Yelling, demanding answers. But I realized I didn't want drama. I wanted clarity. I needed control. I called out of work the next day and followed her. I felt like a creep, but I had to see it for myself. She said she was meeting a friend for lunch. I waited outside the cafe she mentioned. She never showed. Instead, she met him at the same rooftop bar. Hugged him like she hugged me. Laughed like nothing mattered. They didn't kiss, but they didn't have to. I saw everything I needed to. I left before they saw me. Sat in my car again, this time not crying, just empty. I felt stupid, angry, embarrassed. 5 years, and this was what I got. Not even a clean betrayal. Sloppy one. One she didn't even try to hide that well. I didn't go home right away. I drove around aimlessly, radio off, just silence. I knew I couldn't unknow what I knew. And I wasn't sure what I'd do next. 3 days later, I confronted her. No build-up, no dramatics. I walked into the room, looked her dead in the eye and said, "How long have you been sleeping with him?" Her face changed instantly. She didn't deny it. She didn't even look surprised. Just silent. Like she'd been waiting for this moment, or maybe dreading it. I repeated myself slower. "How long?" She sat down and whispered, 6 months. No tears. No excuses. Just that. 6 months of lies. 6 months of looking me in the eye and telling me she loved me. 6 months of letting me plan a future while she unraveled everything behind my back. Asked why. She said things felt stale. That she didn't feel seen. She said it wasn't planned, that it just happened. Asked if she loved him. She shook her head. "No. I don't think so." That stung more than a yes. Because she risked everything for something that didn't even mean anything. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just listened. She tried to flip it. Said I'd been distant. That I worked too much. That I didn't notice the signs. I told her that wasn't an excuse to cheat. If she wanted out, she should have left. Not stayed just long enough to humiliate me. She said she was scared. That she didn't want to hurt me. I laughed at that. You didn't want to hurt me, so you betrayed me behind my back for 6 months. She had no answer. I told her I was done. She tried to follow me out of the room, begged me to stay. I didn't. I packed a bag and left that night. I didn't wait for her to explain more. What was left to explain? I blocked her number. Told her friends and mine what happened. Most were shocked. A few admitted they'd suspected something but didn't want to interfere. Her best friend messaged me an apology and said she didn't condone it. I appreciated it, but it didn't matter. For days I felt numb. People say heartbreak is loud, but mine was quiet. Just silence. Heavy, unbearable silence. I deleted every photo, every message, every memory I could find. Not out of anger, out of necessity. I didn't want to see her face every time I opened my phone. I didn't want reminders of a love that wasn't real. She reached out through email a week later. Said she missed me. Said she'd ended things with him. Said she wanted to talk. I deleted it without responding. I owed her nothing. Closure. Already had it. The truth was enough. The worst part wasn't losing her. It was realizing she was never really mine in the first place. I'd loved a version of her that didn't exist. A version she let me believe in. She broke us. Not with one mistake, but with months of choices. And I chose not to let her do it again. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of the city. No shared memories, no familiar corners. Just space to breathe. The first week was brutal. Waking up alone, cooking for one, silence where laughter used to be. But there was also a strange calm in it. No guessing games. No pretending things were fine. Just me, and that was enough. I started going to the gym again, not to look better but to feel something. I reconnected with old friends I'd pushed aside during the relationship. Some were surprised to hear from me. A few said they'd always wondered if I was really happy. That stuck with me. I hadn't thought about it, but maybe I'd been holding on out of fear more than love toward the end. Months passed. The days got easier. I started reading again, took a weekend trip alone. Went to a live show by myself just to prove I could. There was something freeing in not answering to anyone. I didn't owe anyone explanations. I didn't have to wonder if I was enough. I finally felt in control of my life. One night, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in years. Maya, an old coworker. We'd always had good conversations back then, but the timing was never right. We talked for hours like no time had passed. No pressure, no weird energy. Just real connection. We exchanged numbers and kept in touch. Weeks turned into months, and Maya became someone I looked forward to hearing from. She asked how I was doing, not out of politeness, but because she actually wanted to know. She listened, really listened, and I did the same. We weren't rushing anything. Just two people figuring things out slowly, honestly. One day I got a message from my ex. She'd heard about Maya through mutuals and wanted to meet. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. She became part of my past, not my present. With Maya, things felt different. No games, no uncertainty. Just peace. She knew what I'd been through, and she never made me feel like I had to explain myself. She let me take my time. There were no promises, no declarations, just consistency. And that meant more than anything. I won't pretend everything's perfect. Some days the past still creeps in. But I've learned to recognize my worth. I've learned that loyalty isn't something you beg for. It's something someone gives without question. And that the right person doesn't make you doubt, doesn't make you feel small, doesn't treat your love like it's replaceable. Losing her hurt. But losing myself would have been worse. Walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it led me back to something real. Back to myself. Back to peace. And maybe, just maybe, towards something even better.